I'm Corbett Wall with DVAuction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, April the 23rd, brought to you in part by Macrocin by Meta. Macrocin is proven efficacy at an affordable upfront price. Good source for generic Draxxin, guys, with no BS, end of story. For more information, go to macrocin.com. Also, Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma, going to have a big sale for the times. You know, everybody's running out of cattle, but surprisingly big run at Beaver County Stockyard here on Tuesday, expecting about 3,400 head and a lot of grazing yearlings, like calf weight yearlings, hard cattle, ready to turn out and explode, guys. Had some late consignment, said when they come in, they got just a tick across in them, and I mean got the green condition just to absolutely explode on some grass for you. They're going to have about 1,000 head of their typical 7 to 9 weight yearling steers and heifers. Most of those will be in load lots, and then about 1,500 grazing yearlings. Some getting down there in the 4s, but they're short yearlings, guys, and long forever weaned. A lot of 5 and 6 weight turnout type yearling cattle there. There'll be a lot of nice cattle, a lot of big consignments. 300 head in one deal, 3 to 5 weight black heifers, and they've got condition, ready to turn out, guys. Another 100 head consignment of some Hereford calves. They've got about 250 head for the cow sale, and they're back to having the cow sales on Tuesday again. They'll do that through the summer there, and then maybe next fall, whenever they deem it necessary, then they'll decide to go back with the Wednesday cow sale. But going to go back to having the cow sale after your feeder sale on Tuesdays. But you know, the graze out wheat has kind of petered out in some places locally for Beaver County Stockyards, and that's why they're getting some of these really green cattle in there. They would have liked to have kept them out maybe a little bit longer, but get a little bit dry and had the pastures stocked pretty heavy, so they're starting to make their way in. And also going to have big doings there on Tuesday and Wednesday both. The Hempfield County Beef Conference is going to be in Canadian, which is just south of Beaver County, Beaver, Oklahoma there. And I'm actually going to be going up to the Hempfield County Beef Conference and helping them out, working the booth for them at the trade show. So if you guys are planning to go to the Hempfield County Beef Conference, be sure and stop by the Beaver County Stockyards booth. I'm going to be there working it, pick you up from some free swag. Might have a few feeder flash free swag there too, but looking forward to seeing several feeder flash gang members there. And that Hempfield County Beef Conference is going to be put on by Texas A&M Agri-Life. But you guys be sure and come by either Tuesday or Wednesday. Grilling holidays are coming, guys. And I mean, we saw the board just jump up here on Monday. But you know, it's from the Cattle on Feed report, yes. It was more bullish than anything else because the placements were much lighter than what they thought, but it was just kind of a mess, really. The marketings were down so much. You know, our March placements were 40,000 head more than our March marketings, which does not sound very bullish, but they missed the placements more than they did the marketing, so that's the way that works there. But I don't know, these cattle on feed reports don't really jibe, and you never really get to see whether they come out right or not. And then if it's obvious, they'll go back in and adjust it later. But I mean, just kind of a wreck there on those. But you know, even though our March placements were 40,000 more than the marketings, you know, you still got to feed the cattle. It's going to be a while, and we're working through the system. We're not expecting there to be a big glut of cattle at any point here going forward. Your packers have indeed, though, slowed down your chain speeds big time. Of course, that's reflected there in your marketings, and they were a lot lighter than what they were a year ago and a lot lighter than normal. And but actually last week we had one of our biggest kills we've had this year, biggest kill weeks we had this year. We were not expecting that. We were not expecting 20,000 on Saturday, but ended up getting it. But we're setting pretty good right now. We can't see any black swans out there. There's been a few deals kind of peeked their head up and nobody's really paid too much attention to them. You know, had some people that were talking about, you know, they said that they found E. coli in some meat. You know, that can scare the market at times. They didn't pay no attention to that. On Sunday night, I mentioned it was just kind of a rumor. Indeed, they did have a fire at the cow plant in Gibbon, Nebraska, and it did a lot of damage to the rendering there, and did some damage to some really important hardware that they need for the kill floor. So they were dark on Monday. May be dark all this week, maybe a couple of weeks. We're not sure how long it's going to take them to get up and going again. But the heck of it is, our cows and bulls are so short. There's just not any for them, and they are fighting after them like crazy. They don't fool the producers into selling them the cows, you know, on some kind of a formula basis. Yes, they do try to entice them to just plant deliver them and hang them on the rail there. But for the most part, your cow and bull market is established in a sale barn with competitive bidding. And that's how you see the market jump up like it has. And we've got a lot of bulls, high dressing bulls bringing up close to $2 a pound. We can't get that, even close to that for our best fat cattle. And we're seeing cows up around $1.50. And it's been running here for 2-3 weeks now. I was talking to a guy I know that lives back east where I used to be, up in New Holland, Pennsylvania. That's in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. They consistently have one of the highest fed cattle markets. It's through an auction, and they also have some of the highest bull markets. And even 20 years ago, whenever I was there, it seemed like they got a lot of double muscled cattle in there. You don't see double muscled cattle just passing by in most places, because people don't really enjoy having to do C-sections all the time. But it's funny how wherever these double muscled cattle, and I'm talking like Piedmontese and Belgian Blues and those kind of breeds that don't have the ability to grade choice, because they use their energy different and it makes them double muscled. They look like a guy that spent way too much time in the gym. And but those things will dress, I mean, lights out dress. And so and they sell them up there really high. And so it's funny how they just kind of migrate that way, because the people that trade those cows and bulls, they know that what they'll bring when they get them up there. And on Monday, they had a double muscle Piedmontese, weighed nearly a ton, in New Holland, Pennsylvania, brings 240. Yes, people, unbelievable that they can do that kind of thing when we're struggling here. You can't even get 185 for fats, and they're selling double muscle bulls for 240. Yeah, something ain't right here. Something needs to be fixed. But look at your board, which was all higher on Monday. April live cattle futures are up 235 at 183.82. June was up 237 at 178.05. Back months on live cattle all higher, from 240 to 320 higher. April feeder cattle were up 157 at 240-290. May was up 317, and then your back months, and that was at 245.17. And then your back months, I mean, just monster gains, up 437 to up 497. Guys, if we see this for another few days here, you got to start thinking about locking those prices in on those grass cattle coming off. I mean, we're getting back up there, maybe not quite to where we were, but awfully close, enough where you could really enjoy your summer, knowing that you were going to make good money on your turnout cattle there. But your grains, May corn was up a penny at 440 3/4. May beans up 2 cents at 11.63. May Kansas City hard red winter wheat up 7 cents at 604.5. Your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade out of your 5 area feeding region was 56,700 head, which is very close to the previous week, which was 57,000, and not much less than the same week a year ago of 62,500. Fat steers and heifers negotiated trade in your 5 areas bring from 180 to 184. That was $1 to $5 lower. Your weighted average on live steers 182.67. That was $1.17 lower than the weighted average from the previous week. Dress sales 289 to 294, close to steady to $7 lower. It was really wide the previous week, but dressed steers had a weighted average price of $292.35, which was 74 cents lower than the weighted average on dressed steers from the previous week. As a whole, your market in your northern plains was mostly 183 to 184, which was a buck lower. Dress sales from 292 to few 293, which would be steady to a buck lower, and the southern plains steady at 182. Now nationwide we sold 67,900 negotiated, compares to 64,900 the previous week and 73,800 the same week a year ago. Of the 67,900 negotiated sales nationwide, only about 17% of those were for the 2 to 4 week delivery. So your packers are leaving themselves pretty well open to getting short bought again, and they've been staying short bought, and then they haven't been slaughtering much, but there's going to be a lot of demand for beef here to put on the grill. I mean, we got Mother's Day coming up right away, then Memorial Day weekend, then of course you get off into your summer holidays, but there's going to be a lot more demand than what we've seen since the first of the year, with just kind of comfort foods, roasts and things like that, appeasing people pretty well. But like I said, 67,900 negotiated nationwide. Negotiated grid sales were 36,500 head last week. Forward contracting has been very slow the last 2 or 3 weeks because we felt like, most producers felt like this board was just kind of having a little bounce and a little adjustment there, and they're not wanting to pay what your packers are willing to contract, and didn't like the board out front. So just 8,800 head last week on a forward contract, and formula sales of 270,700, guys. And I talk all about negotiation. The formula trade doesn't help anybody get price discovery at all, anybody. So we have to look to your negotiated trade, which continues to dwindle all the time. But in Iowa last week, they sold 9,100 head negotiated, which is less than half what they normally do. Nebraska, 26,000. That's pretty close to what they usually do. Kansas had decent sales of 14,100 negotiated, and Texas 7,500. Box beef cutout values were higher, but not a whole lot higher, especially on choice there. On Monday afternoon, choice cuts were up 26 cents at $295.93. Selects were up $1.04 at $291.87. Your slaughter, disappointing. And that does include the cow plant that was dark there. So only 113,000 estimated for Monday. That was 8,000 less than the previous week and 12,000 less than the same Monday a year ago. Talk about what else is going on. Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. These guys are pioneers and focus on arthritis and orthopedic issues for pain in your joints, your back, and your neck. And like I've said before, about 60% of their customers or their patients are farmers and ranchers, because they're the only ones that work outside in that stuff, guys, and it wears on you, especially when you get a few years under your belt. But go to kansasrmc.com for more information. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index on DVAuction based on an 800-pound cash steer, auction steer up through your middle 12 states. Figured just like your CME cash feeder cattle index, just about a day and a half quicker to come out. But late in the day on Monday, setting at 244.15, up $1.25, just with the addition of Monday's sales that were higher. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index was 240.211, so you know the next time it comes out, it's going to be over $1 higher. Now that should play a role in your marketing decisions for you guys that have LRPs. You need to keep an eye on that real-time index. You can find that at NationalBeefWire.com. I want to give a shout out to my friends in Alabama. I was telling you about the big sale that they were going to have with Elite Livestock Sales. My buddies Daryl Stokes there and Wesley Grantham, Jerry that used to have Montgomery Stockyards there, and they had a great sale. I mean, a kind of sale that's going to establish them as a major video sale in that part of the country for a long time. Had about 132 pot loads of cattle selling on that video, including the 3J Cattle Company there. There's some cattle coming off ryegrass near Ellisville, Mississippi. They had 2 loads of black steers. Then they had a green grass condition, guys, coming in mid-May, bring 245 in Mississippi, guys. And they achieved that through competitive bidding on DVAuction with Elite Livestock Sales. People that are from that country, they know the cattle, they describe them well, they represent them well when it comes time to deliver those cattle, and they had a fantastic sale from top to bottom. But I thought that was one of their most stick-out sales there, and that's as good or better than you can find anywhere in the country. Yeah, those cattle might have a tick a ear, sure ain't going to hurt you through the summer feeding period here. And they've got several more sales lined up, guys, with Elite Livestock Sales. Check them out. How about your big sales on Monday? Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 6,500 head. Feeders, steers, and heifers were $4 to $8 higher. Calves were in a light test, but they were sharply higher where tested, guys. Joplin Regional Stockyards in Carthage, Missouri, they had 6,200 there, and a really good test of the market top to bottom. And this might be one of the last times for several months that you see a really good test from top to bottom in the market. The steers sold $3 to $7 higher. Market News called the heifers $6 to $12 higher. Joplin was your national beef wire stick-out sale of the day. Look how evenly and well tested all your weight groups are, from lightweight calves all the way to big yearlings, guys. And I went ahead and put the changes on there from your weighted average from the previous week, and you see that the gains were big, just like the market reporter called them there. But let's go from top to bottom here. 449 head of 4-weight steer calves, average 457 at 315.52 on the weighted average. 779 head of 5-weight steers, average 549 at 305.03. There's a lot of commodity cattle in here too, guys. This time of year you get them in southwest Missouri. You can't help it. 725 head of 6-weight steers, average 647 at 279.43. This is the market in the lower Midwest. 435 head of 7-weight steers, average 744 at 254.64. 396 head of 8-weight steers in Joplin averaged 861 with a weighted average price of 232.95. Look at the heifers now. 624 head of 4-weight heifer calves average 462 at 293.11. 554 head of 5-weight heifers average 550 right on the button with a weighted average price of 272.94. 584 head of 6-weight heifers average 648 at 248.51. And 548 head of 7-weight heifers average 754 at 230.40. They had 414 head of 8-weight heifers. Unbelievable how evenly tested that market was. But 414 8-weight heifers averaged 833 with a weighted average price of 213.63. Outstanding sale at Joplin Regional Stockyards, and we're so happy that Bailey Moore was back behind the mic. He is feeling better. We don't know if he's completely out of the woods or not, but he's back working. So praise God for that. I'm going to give you several individual quotes from all around. How about Western Oklahoma Livestock Auction near Clinton, Oklahoma, right on I-40 there. They sell, and they don't typically do this in the Southern Plains, they sell 124 steers at Western Oklahoma Livestock. They averaged 1123 and bring 207.75. Whoa, I thought that was pretty impressive. How about Callaway Livestock Center, Kingdom City, Missouri? My buddy Jack Harrison there. 60 steers weighed 811 at 254.60. That's impressive. But the most impressive quote that I heard or saw anywhere on Monday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come from my buddy Ted Baum. He runs Elgin Livestock Sales with his brothers. He's a world-class auctioneer and a pretty good guy. He sells 314 steers in one whack. They weighed 947 at 240.35. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.